Welcome to the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday. It's not the typical time I usually do the videos. I usually do from 4 to 5 on Tuesdays, 4 to 5 p.m. Central Time. I did it at that time today, made a little mistake, so I'm rebroadcasting because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see it. So today's discussion will be about boosting your energy and your immune system simultaneously. And you are listening to a doctor who has been practicing medicine for 22 years and had this profound book change a lot of what I learned in medical school, and now produces what I believe is a way that people can empower themselves to take control of their health. So let's start with prayer. In the name of the God we serve, who we may call by many names, punish us not if we forget or make a mistake. Please do not burden us with those burdens as those before us. Impose not on us afflictions where we have not the strength to bear, and pardon us and grant us protection, and have mercy on us. Thou art our patron, so grant us victory over the disbelieving people. We humbly submit this prayer in your name, amen. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Before I jump into the subject, I want to let everybody know that the Ultimate Wellness Group is here, of course, on Facebook, doing Facebook Live every Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Ultimate Wellness Group is also on Instagram under the same name, and on YouTube under the same name, the Ultimate Wellness Group. So, once you watch these videos, you can go and check out those other sites and maybe find some information that will continue to help you, empower you. And please, as we're going through, leave your comments, answer some of the questions, send me some hearts, send me, interact with me. It gives me energy, and then of course it gives me an ability to improve my interaction with you all. So today's program is as a result of somebody asking me a question, and that's what I want you all to do. I want you to ask me questions. I want you to interact with me so I can continue just to do what it is that you all think will empower you. I don't have any tricks. I don't have anything for sale. I'm really trying to help you get information so you can kind of manage your way through all the madness that is on not only social media, but on the internet and in the public in general about health, that is typically to suck a lot of money out of your pocket, but really not give you any results. So today, I'm going to start with a little science, because I want to give you all a little backdrop, and then we can go into solutions towards the end. So I want to show a couple of pictures. I had it set up to do that before. I don't know what happened, but anyway, okay, so I have to figure that out. So if you can, pull up a picture maybe on your phone really quickly and look at a cell. When you look at a cell, the ones that I think are most accurate are ones that kind of look like oblong or some type of a round shape. And then what they'll do is they'll cut a section out of that, like they'll cut a fourth of that cell, and then they show some of the things that are inside. And all of that blue area is water. But, there are multiple different parts of a cell, just like there are multiple parts of the human body. And while I'm on that subject, I want to say that a lot of times when you listen to health programs or you read health books or you see health shows, they talk about parts of the body as if they can be individualized. Now that's good for when people are trying to make money and do things of that nature, but we really cannot discuss any aspect of the human body without discussing it as a system. So the heart can't work without the lungs. The lungs and the heart can't work without the bloodstream. None of those can work without a GI system where you have nutrition to keep it all alive, and none of it would function without the brain. So as you can see, as I talk about one organ and move it to the next, all of them are interdependent. There aren't any that can work independently by themselves and produce anything, because there's so much interdependence in all the systems as well as all the organs. And when it comes to a cell, it's the same way. So if you look at that picture of a cell, you'll see a nucleus, which is all the information and all the direction for the cell, just like the brain is the nucleus for thought and a nucleus of all functioning in the human body. And so there are ribosomes, there are endoplasmic reticulum, you have lysosomes, you have mitochondria, you have all these different little, what they call organelles inside of a cell. Just like a lot of cells put together make a tissue, a lot of tissues together make an organ, and then a bunch of organs together and all the other structures make the human body. It's like, that stepwise process. But in a cell, the mitochondria is the section of the cell that produces our energy. And so if a person says, I don't have enough energy, what we typically see people do is get up in the morning and go make a cup of coffee, or on their way to wherever they're going, they stop and they get an energy drink. And then they say, oh, well, I have some energy. Well, those aren't congruent. Those are different. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. But that is a false energy that you're getting from a sugar rush and a caffeine rush. But true energy has to come from that mitochondria that's in the cell. And understand that you can't see this with your naked eye. You can't see a cell with your naked eye, nor can you see a mitochondria, which is inside of a cell. So it's smaller than the cell. But this is what produces your energy, because it takes all of your cells in your body to produce the energy that you have as a body. It's not individual cells, working not in conjunction. Just like I said, all the systems are working in together. Those cells are all working together for that organ, and that organ working with the other organ. So it really comes down to the cellular level is where your energy, your healing, your correct functioning, your detoxification, all of that, and the benefit of that is happening on a cellular level. And so this mitochondria, without us going into a lot of major specifics about, these things, because that would be probably a pretty intricate class, but I want us to just understand some basic things. In the mitochondria, what you have occurring is electron transport chain. It's just a system by which we're pulling and giving electrons and protons energy. That's where your energy comes from, electrons and protons. And then there's a substance that system produces called ATP. And of course, when you actually talk about each one of those letters, it's a long word, but just remember, ATP is the basis of your energy in a human body. Now that system is associated with a system called Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain are the two entities that are most associated with the energy level in a human. Now, again, this is just basic information. You don't have to know anything about these things in specific, but I just want to give you a little backdrop, because those are the systems by which the nutrition and the oxygen is used to produce the energy that you have in your body. And so it makes a lot of sense that if I say it's nutrition and oxygen that work in those two systems I mentioned, the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain, well, then a energy drink is not going to give you nutrition or oxygen, nor is coffee. I'm going to explain this a little bit more down the line, but I'm trying to put things in context because I want you to be empowered. When you leave this Facebook Live video today, I want you to be empowered to move into doing something different. So again, send me some interaction, send me some questions, answer some of these questions for me. And when I go back and I check them out, we'll have some interaction between us. So the key to understanding about energy is to be able to assess energy in a way that you know where you are causing a problem with your energy. For instance, if we go out and we do something very physically laborious, let's say we're putting some concrete in and we're on the roof of a house doing roof work, right? Any of us, just imagine yourself doing that for 12, 14 hours in the hot summer Texas sun, Arizona sun, Southern California sun. You can pretty much say to yourself that at the end of that day, no matter what energy level you started with, you're going to be pretty beat down by the end of that day. So that should be expected, that when you do something that physically laborious, that you would be pretty tired. Or let's say you have a family function and you all are at the park, and it's not a typical thing for you to hang out all day, but you're playing around with the children, or the children are running around, and you know, family got games and you cooking and all this kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, you're just worn out. Should be expected. So those things make sense why you can use your energy up and then be tired at the end of the day. But I'm more speaking to those of us who just don't have any energy at all. Don't feel like doing anything at any time. Don't feel like getting up, going to work. Don't feel like working. Don't feel like driving home. Don't feel like doing anything when you get home. That is a problem, because now you're in a continuous cycle of mainly going into doing these things that continue to perpetuate that aspect of not having any energy. So we have to look at these realities, and then we'll start talking about what we're going to do different. So what are the things that can lower your energy level? And then again, you know, this is about the energy and the immune system, and I'm going to tie them together in just a few minutes. But here are some things that can completely affect you and your energy level. The first one is lack of proper nutrition. That's probably the biggest one. So those of you who have a plan to be rich, or maybe you have seen some rich people, or maybe you watch a movie and you see rich people, television show, whatever. Most people know that a Bentley or a Rolls Royce is usually a car that the average person can't afford. Usually see those in very rich people or athletes or, you know, famous people, whatever the case may be, right? So let's just imagine that we decide we got enough money and we're going to go buy a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, one of the most expensive cars on the earth, and it's time to go get some gas. I don't believe that most people that would spend that much money on a car would go to a gas station that they thought was low quality gas. Like some of these little poor stores in the poor neighborhoods, some of these Arabs and some of these other people that have these stores in our community that sell a bunch of garbage food, a lot of liquor, all this kind of stuff. And let's just imagine they had a gas station. Well, the food that they sell is low quality. Most of the stuff they sell in there is very low quality, very, you know, outdated food. And let's just imagine that that's the same gas that they have. Would you put that gas in your expensive car? Would you put that gas in a top rated, expensive sports car that you're expecting to just make something happen when you hit that gas or you shift the gears? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't expect that you would do that. You would get that brand new expensive car and you would go to a gas station that you thought was the most premium with the premium gas. And you probably would go to the best gas station and would get the best gas, and you would get the highest octane. All of this for what? For this car to function correctly. But yet, what do you do for your nutrition? You stop by McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King or White Castle or Slotsky's or Subway, or, I mean, even restaurants. They may be a step up from fast food restaurants, but people are not in business to keep you healthy. They're in business to make money. So of course they're going to do what makes food last, and that doesn't mean good for you. So nutrition, very important. Water. As I just finished saying, if you take a look at that picture of a cell, talking about the oblong looking one that kind of has all that blue stuff, and then they show you all the little aspects of a cell, all of that blue stuff is water. How can the body function correctly? How can energy be transmitted correctly if there's not enough water? There is electricity in this body. That's why you can go sometimes and they put the electrodes on your head. They do an EEG. They put the electrodes on the muscle and do an EMG. They put the electrodes on your chest and do an EKG. There's electricity all through this body. And water is the conduit where most of that, I shouldn't say most, all of that electricity is passed and moved through the body. Water. The third thing that decreases most people's energy is toxicity. I'm not going to get into toxicity today. That's going to be a whole nother program within itself. But toxicity drains your energy. Why? As I just finished saying, you wouldn't put poor gas in that Bentley. Well, when you put poor food in a human body, there's a higher amount of toxicity than when you put good foods. All food, even the best, if you take an apple off of a tree, or an orange off of a tree, or a watermelon off of the vine, or a blueberry off of its source, They are toxins in that. You clean them, you try to get as much off as you can, but they're toxins. But the toxicity of one of those pieces of fruit that I just mentioned versus the toxicity of a hamburger from a fast food place, or a bag of chips, hot fries, Oreos, ramen noodles, no comparison. None whatsoever. There's so much toxicity in packaged processed foods. And so that drains your energy because that's what you're using as your source of energy. It cannot stand to produce the type of energy that happens when you put real food in your body. The fourth thing that really causes a lot of energy decrease in people is stress. Stress is very difficult on the mind, so it drains you of a lot of your energy. But understand this, the fifth aspect of not having enough energy is exercise, because exercise is one of the best things that you can do to combat stress. So if stress is in your life like this and you exercise, it brings that stress back to a level of homeostasis where the body's in this balance. It may be a little out tune, but every time you exercise, you bring it back and you get a little stressed out, and then you exercise and you bring it back. That's the reality of why these bodies were made to move. It's the best source of bringing the ill effects of how stress affects the body back into repair, rejuvenation, and getting things back in order is exercise. Another big thing that causes people to lose their energy is lack of sleep. You know, a lot of people are grinding and don't get any rest. The body is made to rest. You don't repair. You don't rejuvenate. You can't remodel. You can't renew without rest. It takes rest. Matter of fact, when you wake up in the morning and you do that, you got something in the corner of your eye. When you wake up in the morning, a lot of times after you shower, you got to blow your nose. You wake up in the morning and there's stuff in your mouth. Doesn't smell good. You got to urinate. You got to defecate. Why? Because the body had the ability, you lay down and gave the body time to clean, to get some things in line, to use that nutrition from your meal yesterday to put things back in balance where they need to be. I hope it's making sense to you. One of the greatest things that will boost your energy, and the reason why we don't have a lot of energy, is sunshine. Now think about this. Every source of food that you have, now I'm not talking about meat, I'm talking about everything other than meat. Even meat is relying on the sun as well, but everything that you eat that's not meat is made from a process by which the sun is beaming its light on that leaf. And those processes that happen in the plant can't happen without the sun, photosynthesis, and the processes from photosynthesis that produce the food that you eat. That can't happen without the sun. And you can't activate your vitamin D without the sun. And vitamin D is highly associated with your energy level. So multiple things I just finished mentioning about you and your energy level. Excuse me. And so, again, I want to specifically tie in your energy level to your immune system. So again, if you're enjoying the show, throw some love out there, ask me some questions, interact. But mitochondria in a cell, in the heart, in the intestines, in the brain, in the liver, in the muscle, is the same makeup of the cell that takes care of your immune system. The immune system is a group of cells, the white blood cells mostly, but there are other cells called mast cells and other cells in the tissues that are part of the immune system. So when something enters your body, it doesn't make a difference where. If it break in the skin, something gets in there, whether it's a piece of dirt or whether it's a bacteria or a virus or a chemical, the body says, problem over there. Well, how does it know that there's a problem over there? The same way that if we didn't have cell phones or we didn't have home phones, but we lived in a community and, you know, the community 6 or 8 blocks long, and all of us say, hey, car coming down the street, leaning out the window, they got a gun. You holler at people. Get that communication going down the block so people down there know what we see coming down the street. And the human body is the same way. When there's a break in the skin, something right there detects something got through. It's not supposed to be here. Send out a substance to the cells right around it in the blood flow to get to all over the body. And the next thing you know, the immune system has sent cells through the blood flow to that area. The way you see it is swelling. The way you see it is redness. That is your immune system that responds. Hope this makes sense. The same way we just finished looking at that cell or talking about the cell with the small organelles inside of it that does all the work, that produces everything that we see. It's the same reality in that immune cell. A white blood cell, a mast cell, a phagocyte. These are all aspects of the immune system that take care of our body. These are all aspects of the immune system that when you sleep at night, those are the cells, and that's the communication that starts to work on everything. I mean, if everything in your chest and your arms is doing pretty good and there's nothing that the body needs to work on, well, it's going down to the legs to find somewhere. It's going up into the head and the brain to find something. What is it that we can renew so that this person can get back to doing what they do and do it at a very high, efficient rate when it's functioning? So the immune system is highly, highly, highly associated with everything that I just finished saying: the proper nutrition, the proper rest, the proper water, the proper sunshine. All of these things boost what? Cellular activity. And so while we're on that sun aspect, when you get out into the sunshine, I don't know if some of you have done this, but this is an experiment that I would like you to do. We're going into the spring in we're going into the spring in this country, but in the areas of the country where you can spend a lot of time outside, I want you all to leave today, tomorrow, leave from this today, tomorrow, start experimenting. One day, just pay attention to the type of energy level you have throughout the day. When you wake up in the morning, when you get to work, and whatever your process is during the day, just take some time during the day, be aware, be in present time, and say, how's my energy level? And then maybe on Thursday, do the same thing, but every time you have a break, every time you get an opportunity to be outside, park away from the building that you're going to. Park away from the building when you're walking to work. During lunchtime, don't stay inside. Go outside and eat your lunch out in the sunshine, or take your food and walk while you're eating in the sunshine. It's not necessarily a good idea to walk when you eat all the time, but the point is I want you to do an experiment and see what happens when you go out into the sunshine when your energy level is not necessarily where you think it should be, and see what happens. Your own personal evaluation and assessment of your body and how it works. And if you've already done it, go ahead and let me know while we're doing this program. So your immune system and the cellular function that we just finished talking about that produces the energy level, the immune cells have that same reality in them. All cells are the same, but there are specific, very intricate specifics of a particular cell that are part of a specific organ. For instance, a cell in the brain is a neuron. A cell in the liver is a hepatocyte. Hepato-liver, neuro-nerve. The same cell in a muscle, the same cell in a kidney, the same cell in your lungs, they all have the basic things the same. But then there's something that cell in the liver has as a specialty that the heart can't do. The heart cell can't do. I hope that makes sense. That the basic function of every cell is the same. And so when I'm talking about an immune cell versus a typical cell and where your energy comes from, all of these cells have a mitochondria. So when I do something to boost the energy of the whole body, I'm boosting the individual aspect of every organ in that specified cell from that particular organ or from that particular system. And so that's why boosting the energy of level and boosting an immune system is congruent, is a complementary reality. It happens simultaneously when we know what we're doing. I hope this makes sense. And so I'm going to make a couple of quick comments, and then we're going to get into how we solve the problem. The first thing is this. When people start trying to discuss the human body from an aspect of individual organs or individual specific areas, that is an ideology that comes from marketing and making money. The system works as a whole, as I mentioned earlier. A cell works as a whole, and a cell communicates with the cells around it, and that's how they all make sure that they're together. It's a unity thing, okay? All of these cells of the liver are unified, and they work with the unified cells of the kidney, and they work uniformly with the cells of the intestines and the stomach, and all these things are working together. They don't work independent of each other. They work dependently. Everybody dependent on the other to do what you have to do, and I'm over here doing what I have to do, and together we make sure that this person is complete, whole, efficient, and able to do whatever the requirements are for that person, or whatever their mind is on and what their thought process is on. I hope this makes sense. At the end of the day, when you do something to boost an aspect of the body, all the rest of the systems of the body are going to benefit from that. So if you say, wow, he listed out a few things that could cause a problem with energy, yeah, so that we could talk about the things to do to go in the opposite direction. Because you cannot sit around and look at the reality that we see in older people in our community and not understand how to put that into a way that we can make sense of that. So if you have a person in your family that's 30 or 40 and you saw them get diagnosed with a medical problem and they started taking a pill for that, and now they're 70 or 80 and they're still taking the pill for that same problem, you already know that pill is not going to solve that problem. I hope that makes sense. But if I have a person with diabetes and high blood pressure and heart problems and the kidneys are going bad, they can't see very well, all the cholesterol problems, they had a heart attack in the past, all these medical problems. Well, if you start drinking water, water is good for you. Water is going to help all those problems. If there's certain things that you can do from a nutritional perspective to improve the body, it's going to help all those problems. And this is unfortunately what a person that wants to make a lot of money as their primary goal don't want to tell you that, because they'll have you taking something for this and taking something for that and taking something for this, taking some for that and taking some for that. But there are only three things that cause problems in the human body. That is, 1, dehydration, not enough water. Number 2, not enough nutrition, malnutrition. Number 3, toxicity. Too much toxic stuff going in the body, like I just finished talking about, that fruit versus those packaged foods. So, second point about detoxification. Again, I'm going to do another show independently about detoxifying the body. But I'm saying this to those of you who are interested in empowering yourself to stop allowing these marketing people out here to make you think that you need something to detoxify, because you don't. Drinking these oils and taking these substances and I got to get this detox planner. You have a system, and God in this system gave you the ability to detoxify yourself. Here's the biggest organ we have right here, the skin. The second biggest organ in the body, not the biggest system, but the second biggest organ, because you could say that the bones, that's a large system. The muscles, large system when you take all that and put it together. But the liver is an organ, and that is a detoxifying organ. It has the ability to do everything it's capable of doing. That's why God put it in you. So get out of the mind state that you need something to help you detoxify. No, all you need to detoxify is water and some rest. Now, it is dependent on some good nutrition. You know, you can't go eat McDonald's and then tomorrow drink water and rest and think that you're going to get detoxification, because everything you put in from a so-called food perspective is not food, but from your food perspective, you put a lot of chemicals in your body. You can't detoxify like that. You have to eat foods that are good for you in order to detoxify. Again, subject for another time. I'm just trying to get you away from the marketing plans, because as you try to boost your energy, as you try to boost your immune system, one of the things that's going to keep that from happening well is toxicity. But don't spend your money on all these products out here for detoxification. Spend your money on quality food, good food that I'm about to mention to you, okay? I hope this makes sense. So let's go back through the list pretty quickly. We're talking about, for decreasing your energy, lack of nutrition, lack of water, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, toxicity, and then lack of sunshine. The next one that we'll have to add to that is lack of good oxygen. Because I mentioned before, this mitochondria that is producing your energy is based on 3 major substances coming into the system in order for them to do this work. One is fat, one is sugar, one is oxygen, okay? So when you're sitting, like probably most of us are right now, sitting down, you have to realize that some of your lung activity is being compressed. Because if you're sitting in a position like a lot of us sit when we're sitting in a chair or something, we're kind of lean back, or if you're sitting somewhere and you're leaning to the side, excuse me, the side that you're leaning to, that part of your lung that's down at the bottom is being compressed. If you're sitting like this, your lungs are probably more open than they are when you're leaning, but they're still not more open than if you were to sit up real straight, or you were stand up, or you were exercising, or you were doing breathing exercises. So the more you take deep breaths, the better you get the lungs, the lung capacity opened, so you're getting more and more oxygen inside the body in order to produce the energy that you need. I hope that's making sense to you. So we don't need a lot of things outside of what has been put on this earth for us, what has been put on this earth to sustain us. If we go back to just thinking about God and what he put for us to have the best, then we could start to prioritize what is the best for us. And while I'm on that subject, I want to say to everybody, it's not expensive to eat healthy. It's not expensive to eat organic. If you want to prioritize having good health and you want to live a long time, if you want to live healthily and not wind up like the people that you see in your family. I was walking yesterday past this clinic, and I saw a lady helping her mother out of the car. And it was completely and totally obvious, the way their bodies looked, the way they stood, the way their faces looked, that they were related, mother and daughter. And the mother got out of the car. She could barely move. She could barely walk. She had a walker. She could barely step up on the curb. And as I was walking by, I was asking myself, man, what does that lady have to look forward to? She's looking at her mother. She got most of her understanding about life probably from her mother. She learned how to cook from her mother. She learned what she thought was healthy from her mother. All these different aspects of her life, probably religion, politics, all of these different aspects of life she learned from her mother. And so if that is true, if that's your greatest source of information, that's your greatest source of guidance was your parents, and you watch them get in trouble from a health perspective, your aunts and uncles, the extended family, that circle that was to help raise you, all of the people in your family are sick and fat and going through surgeries and taking all this medication. What do you have to look forward to? Good question, right? And that's something that you have to evaluate on your own. I come from that type of family too. Diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks, cancer, amputations, blindness, kidney dialysis. Typical black family. But your desire to not have that means that you have to desire and put the energy into and gain the willpower to do something different. If you eat and your activity level and your exercise level and you're doing things outside in the sun, reality is the same of those people that we just mentioned, then how are you going to wind up any different than they are? So the first thing that you have to do is start prioritizing, not the house, not the car, not the expensive clothes, the jewelry, all the nice things in the house. Start prioritizing your health. Because you can sit and say, I can't afford organic food. In this day and time, with as much deception is going on with food, you have to eat organic. Otherwise, you're killing yourself. There have been plenty of studies of the Mexican migrant workers in California and Arizona, where a lot of the food for this country is grown. And when they come from Mexico to those southern states, western southern states, and they are any way integrated into the agriculture reality, and they're exposed to these pesticides, which are chemicals that kill bugs, herbicides, which are chemicals that kill weeds, and then chemical fertilizers. They are highly toxic and a great increase of certain type of cancers, a lot of times being liver cancer. So you can't afford to put that when we have proof that being exposed to it is causing people to have cancer and it's killing them with all kind of crazy diseases. And you're going to eat foods that have that on it, and you're going to use the reason that I can't afford it, and you're driving a car that's expensive, and you live in a house that's expensive, and you wear expensive clothes, and you like taking expensive trips, wearing expensive jewelry and doing things. We have to reprioritize. If that's what you want. I mean, if you want to look good, you want to have all these things, and you are going to make your health one of those last priorities, then that's the future that you're having. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad in How to Eat to Live says that you cannot afford to eat cheap food, because it might be cheap now, but those hospital bills and those medical bills and those pill bills later on are going to be expensive. So you either pay now or you pay later. It's going to be your decision. But quality food and quality water should be our priority to anybody that's trying to live a long time, see some grandchildren, see some great-grandchildren, but have your own mind when you're 60 and 70 and 80. 90, 150. We need to start having those type of conversations. Do you plan on living to 150? Do you plan on living to 180? Is 200 possible? Will you be of sound mind? Will your body be working correctly? Some good questions that we should be asking. Prioritize. That's what we all do. So you have to prioritize your life, but don't tell me that it's expensive to eat healthy when you're putting the best gas in that car that you have, and then the worst food in you. I'm not going to have that conversation with people. To me, my health is the priority behind my service of the God that I serve. And so if that's your priority, then when I go to the store, I'm not telling you any particular place to shop. You have to be careful everywhere you go. Some people, for some reason, think that going to Whole Foods, you good. Everything in Whole Foods is good. Just go to Whole Foods and shop. Wrong answer. There's a lot of garbage and poison in Whole Foods. Whole Foods sold out just like everybody else. Last couple of years, they have given in the pressure. So you have to be careful. The best food source is growing your own. If you can't do that, the best food source is going to a food co-op. Research them in your city that you live in the area that you live in. Very, very important. And so I'm going to go into the solutions to every single one of those potential problems with the energy level that I suggested. And understand at the same time that you are listening to these suggestions of how to boost your energy level, these are 1000% relative to how you are boosting your immune system. So when you travel, so when you go to these places all over the city and they're telling you keep you and your family safe, get a flu shot. Don't believe that madness. You better treat yourself correctly and do some things to boost your immune system. That's how you take care of yourself and your family. Getting a flu shot potentially could kill you and everybody else that got one, because they're so dangerous and there's so many toxic things in them. But that's not today's subject. Today's subject, how to solve your energy problem. So let's go through each one of those and talk about it. For the first thing is, we said that mitochondria needs fat, sugar, and oxygen in order to produce your energy correctly. So the first thing that I want to say is that if you've ever heard anybody, a so-called health guru, health expert, doctor, anybody say that fruit is bad for you, that's an ignorant person. Very ignorant on nutrition. There's nothing about fruit that's bad for you. Fruit is one of the best foods as a group that you can eat. Now, you shouldn't be eating fruits that don't have seeds, because all fruits should have seeds. If you're eating a seedless watermelon or seedless grapes, who made that? God never made a seedless fruit. Got to do research. You got to understand what you're doing. I'm trying to be very clear. So when it comes to sugar, it takes sugar to produce a substance called acetyl-CoA. It can also be produced from fat, but sugar is absolutely important for you to have good health and have energy. The best source of sugar in this human body, number one, fruit. All fruits are good as long as they have seeds. And the second is honey. And I'm not talking about honey in a little bare bottle that you can see through. That's not real honey. Real honey is not necessarily cheap, and usually it's solidified in a store because it's cold enough and real honey solidifies. Fruit, honey. But you wouldn't just eat honey for your sugar. You eat fruit. And I'm talking about putting honey in things that you want sweet. So if you like the taste of it, good. If not, then you have to make your adjustments. But those are the best sources of sugar in order to boost your energy. The source of fat in order of best would be navy beans. Navy beans are the only beans that have been studied that are congruent with the human body. So when you break down a navy bean, the amount of protein, the amount of fat, the amount of sugar, the amount of nutrients in a navy bean is almost directly relative to the amount of sugar, protein, and fat and nutrients in the human body. Not lima beans, not kidney beans, not black beans, not red beans, not peas, not lentils. I'm not saying lentils are bad. The rest of those are. But none of those. Black-eyed peas, those are not good for you. Navy beans, if you want adequate, greatest health from a perspective of energy, from a fat perspective, navy bean. Second would be avocado. Avocado is a wonderful food. One of the best foods you can put in your body. So if any of these so-called health gurus are saying that the fat in avocados could potentially cause you heart disease, that's a fool. That is an ignorant person who doesn't know anything about nutrition. There's nothing about an avocado that could cause you problems. It's one of the best fatty foods on the planet Earth. And then the third one would be, from a fat perspective, would be raw milk or whole milk. So I'm talking about milk that comes from a cow, number one, that was pregnant. That cow should have delivered a baby. That cow should be eating grass that has no fertilizers, no pesticides, no herbicides on that farm. That cow shouldn't be having steroids pumped into it, shouldn't be having hormones pumped into it, shouldn't be having antibiotics pumped into it. All those things are going to come into your body and cause you harm. That cow should not be on a diet that has soy in the feed. Those are the type of questions that you have to ask if you're going to a farm to buy whole or raw milk. You cannot you cannot drink milk or put milk on things or in things that you're cooking or eating when it comes from a farm where that animal is stuck in a cage all of its life. And they're pumping it with hormones and pumping it with steroids and pumping it with things to keep it pregnant for so long. And feed that they give it has all chemicals in it. That's not what you need. That's not good. That milk you put in your refrigerator and it doesn't separate into layers, it just stays consistent color, that's been homogenized. It's been pasteurized, which kills all the bacteria. So you're drinking dead bacteria and a bunch of broken up proteins when you eat that stuff. That's what's causing your allergy problems. This time of year, people start talking about, I have allergies. Why would God make you allergic to one of the substances that produces life for you? There's not a plant on this planet Earth that can grow without pollen. There's not a food that can be produced without pollen. And you mean to tell me that God made you allergic to pollen? Really? See, we have been inundated with false information for so long, we believe things that don't even make sense at all. You're not allergic to pollen. You're doing things that cause this body not to function correctly. And when the pollen comes in, you're either getting inundated with too much, or the pollen is coming in and trying to help cleanse you. And it causes symptoms, yes, because there's stuff in you that needs to be gotten rid of. And when your nose starts blowing, when your nose starts running and you start sneezing and your eyes are watering, as a cleansing process, you go to a doctor and tell them you have allergy problems. They put you on a pill that you never get rid of. But God made you allergic to a substance that brings life to the planet, that brings you life because it's the only way to produce food. we've been taught such craziness and we believe such nonsense. I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm just, we all did. But once you get new information, you can't hear it and say, oh, the hell with that dude. He don't know what he's talking about. Go research what I'm talking about. So, proper foods. Fruits for your sugar. Honey to sweeten what you want sweetened. To get your sugar to produce your energy. Fat come from navy beans, from avocados, from whole or raw milk. Okay, so we got that part. The oxygen aspect. There are a lot of you that don't exercise. You should start exercising. I'm not suggesting that you get off of a sit down job and a sit on your behind all the time at home reality and thinking that you're going to go out there and become an Olympic athlete. No, but you should start walking, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes a day, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. Start somewhere. Now, why? Because as you're walking and you need to, get moving, don't walk like you're chilling. Walk like you're really trying to get some exercise, and when you start breathing deeply, you are bringing in good oxygen. Now, those of you who work out inside, I'm not knocking that, but it's not as good as working out outside. Why? Where is the source of oxygen coming from? I don't know if all of you know. If you didn't study botany, maybe you don't know this. The source of oxygen is not somewhere out there in the sky. The source of oxygen is trees and plants and grass, green things that God put on the planet. You breathe out carbon dioxide, and the plant in its processes use that and they produce oxygen. So when you're working out outside, when you're taking a walk outside, sometimes you feel good because you're getting all of this beautiful oxygen from the plants, and then the aromas from the plant is real life aromatherapy. When you smell those lavender plants, or you smell this aroma that's coming from the bark of the trees, all those pine smells. If you pay attention, when you walk through those type of environments, you feel better when you get finished. So try to exercise outside so you can get the true source of oxygen, right? We're talking about energy. The mitochondria use fat, sugar, and oxygen to produce your ATP, which is your energy source in the body. Without a good source, you won't have the best type of energy. So if you're eating Cheetos or Doritos or Oreos or hot chips or McDonald's or Burger King, or you're getting ramen noodles. I passed by the store today and there were ramen noodles on sale. I think it was 3 or 4 for $1. If you think you're getting good nutrition out of something that cheap, you should recheck that. Okay? But the point I'm making is restaurant food, fast food, all these things that we eat, bags of chips and all this kind of stuff. That's not a good source of nutrition. I just mentioned the good sources of nutrition. And so that's part of why your energy level is not good, because your source is not right. The sources that I just finished mentioning are the best sources. So just like that Bentley, you want to put the best gas in it? I just finished mentioning the best foods. Fruit, all fruit is good. Stop eating fruit that doesn't have seeds in them. Try as much as you can when you're trying to sweeten something to use honey, raw, unheated, unfiltered honey. If you guys leave comments and say that you need me to help you understand that, that'll be another program. You should eat navy beans and learn how to cook them correctly. Avocados and raw or whole milk are the best sources of your fat to produce your energy. The best source of oxygen, outside, walking, doing something outside next to greenery, which is the source of oxygen in our environment. Okay, so I did those two. The next one is vitamin D and sunshine. So when you eat the type of foods that give you vitamin D, which we'll talk about another day, and then you go outside and the sunshine hits your face and hits your arms and whatever else is exposed to the sun, you are activating your vitamin D. You eat vitamin D, it gets processed in the liver, turned once, processed in the kidney, turned again, and then when it's heated in the skin, it gets activated to its highest ability. And as I said earlier, I want some of you to do your own research. Tomorrow, just pay attention to your energy level. On Thursday, get out and go outside 3 or 4 or 5 times in the sunshine and see if that has anything to do with your energy level. Okay, sunshine. The other aspect is sleep. It's important that you get sleep. Sleep has been studied. The best way to sleep: television off, phone off, radio off. Those of you who sleep with a television on, those of you who sleep with the radio on, those of you who sleep with your phone on and get up and look at stuff in the middle of the night and then go back to sleeping and look at more stuff, that's not good for you. The darker the room, the possible. Those of you who sleep with lights on, or you have your blinds open and the light from outside is coming in, that doesn't offer you the best of sleep. And if you don't think sleep is good for you, then you should do some research on sleep. The body cannot regenerate, rejuvenate, renew, replace, fix things. It cannot do it if you don't get enough rest. Dark, quiet rest is what will help boost your body to get ready for the next day. You have a circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm starts to activate itself usually about an hour to 2 hours before your regular wake-up cycle. So if you wake up every day at 6 o'clock, your body's starting to activate itself about 4. Go through your day. And then you start getting tired about a particular time. Because why? Your circadian rhythm is starting to decrease. The hormones of the body have done work for all day, and it's starting to say, hey, we need some rest. And when you rest, it allows that whole system to readjust itself, come right back in. And that's why in this monumental book, How to Eat to Live, which everybody should get and check it out, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us to eat at a particular time every day. And then every day you should try to do the same thing. And that's the reality of sleep. You should try to go to bed at the same time every day. Wake up at the same time every day, because your body is on cycle. Your body is on the same cycle as this earth that's rotating around the sun. The sun doesn't come up in the morning. It's the earth that's rotating as it's going around the sun. And so that we see in the morning, every day, just about the same time. It changes a little bit, right? Sometimes a year, it seems like it gets light a little later, sometimes a little earlier. There are a few changes, a little by little change every day. But for the most part, it's pretty accurate every day. You can pretty much consistently say it's going to come up the same time every day, go down the same time every day. And your body is on that same rhythm. So you should try to do things in that rhythm. That's best for the body, for it to function correctly, giving you your energy source. Water. I talked about that cell that we were talking about earlier. If you cut it and you look at all the little organelles in there, the blue aspect of that cell is all water. You cannot believe that your functioning is going to be good without water. You have to drink water. It's part of all these processes. The energy that is in food is literal energy, just like if you go outside and you put your arm outside when it's really hot and you feel that hotness, that's energy. That energy is in the food. We just talked about the photosynthesis in these leaves that produce that food. There's energy in that food. I mean, live energy. And so when you eat it, that live energy is going through you. The conduit for energy to move throughout the body is water. We talked about it a little while ago. An EEG for the brain, EKG for the heart, EMG for the muscles. Electricity all over the body. That's regenerated with food. That's regenerated by the sun. Can't do well without it. Got to have it in your body in order to have good energy level. Excuse me. So let me see if I covered all this. So we talk about nutrition, oxygen, sunshine, rest, exercise. Trying to think if I got all the subjects. I want to make sure I get them all. But when we're talking about energy, I didn't cover toxicity. Again, we're going to do this at another time. But the more toxic your body is, the more you are interfering with these processes. In addition, when the source of nutrition, the fat, the sugar, the oxygen is not best, then you don't have the same ability. It's no different than putting high octane gas in that car. If we're on the highway, and for some reason we need to speed up and speed up quickly, when you hit the gas, you're expecting that car to respond to your foot. And so why are you not expecting your body to respond when you wake up in the morning? It should. But if the quality of fuel that you're putting in the body is not the best, then why are you expecting your body to respond the best? Got to put the best nutrition. We have to prioritize nutrition because it's so important. So important to put the best in the best. That's the best way I can put it. I used best a lot, didn't I? So I think I covered everything. I think you all get the point. And just as a concluding reality, there's no trick out there. There's no quick way. This is an assessment and an evaluation that you have to do of yourself, within yourself, and then you have to go and start making small changes, small improvements. Don't expect that you're going to have this solved in a minute, but what I can promise all of you, if it comes to weight loss, getting your energy back, solving medical problems, getting whatever it is that you're trying to get back, if you believe some of these things that you see on the internet or some of these things that are in these so-called vitamin shops and these health food places and these so-called health gurus that are backing all this crap, there ain't no quick fix to nothing in the human body. The same way it took time for you to lose your energy, like you can think back to when you were 20 or in your teens, be like, I had so much energy. What changed? Hell, when you were a teenager, you're much bigger than you were then, potentially. You do a lot of things that you didn't do back then. You're not as active as you were. The reason why you had so much energy is probably because of some of the activity. Activity breeds energy. When you're sitting around doing nothing, that breeds lack of energy. So it's going to take some changes, and it's going to take some time. It's going to take some experiments. But I think I've given you a few things that you can start working on. Well, number one, start aiming your mind to bringing in the type of nutrition that's going to serve you best. Start making sure that you're getting the best source of oxygen. Got to be out there where the source is coming from. You got to get vitamin D. You got to learn what foods have vitamin D in them. You have to learn what things you are doing that's causing you toxicity so that you can start changing that reality. Even the best of foods have toxicity, but they have a lot less toxicity than the foods that are being made by these chemical laboratories and these processing plants. You need to get good rest. You have to have some activity in your life. Even if it's you work on the second floor, every day take the steps instead of riding an elevator. Park at the end of the parking lot so you have a nice little walk when you're going to work anymore. I'm not talking about getting sweaty and stuff like that, but you know how to handle that. When you're at the grocery store, stop parking, waiting for 10 minutes to get a spot right next to the door when you could park at the end and make it an activity session. You walk to the store, walk in the store, walk back to your car. That was a nice little exercise you just did. Make that a habit. So, you know, I don't have any, I tell people all the time, I don't have any tricks. I don't have anything for sale. I'm trying to empower you with information so that you can walk up out of these discussions and start applying things, and you will see the benefits. Why? Because you never can do anything better than what God gave you. There's no supplement. There's no drink. There's no energy drink. There's no trick to getting energy. Energy comes when you supply the body with what it's made to have. If God made these bodies, then every single solitary thing that it takes to maintain at a high level is out in this environment that we call world as well. We just have to get the information to understand it and then apply it, and you will start to see the benefits of that. So thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Hope you send me some more love, questions, comments, future programs you'd like to see me do, answers to some of the questions that I asked. Again, the Ultimate Wellness Group is here on Facebook every Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're on Instagram. We got a question of the week to make you think and keep your mind on your health. We're on YouTube where I'm doing videos trying to just give you a chance to look at things and, you know, just give you information, news that you can use. If your mind is not on your health is not on your mind. You can switch those statements. I didn't ever hear anybody say that. I just think that that's true. We got to think about our health every day, prioritize our health just like we prioritize all these other things in our life. So again, thank you for tuning into the Ultimate Wellness Group. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope we have some interaction, and hope to see you next Tuesday. Peace.